Zoom. And as that attaches, I'm going to come back here. How does this go? All right. How is everybody doing?
Very well. Good evening, all. Good evening, Master.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm seeing if I can get my YouTube so it's not here it is. Done. All right. So let me go into how I always go into it. Welcome all. Welcome. This is Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is where we have those most intimate conversations right here with you. And today my topic is going to be on my favorite topic, service. Just to do a little bit of housekeeping. If you are not getting ready to talk, can you go ahead and put your mics on mute so we don't get any feedback noises? And I think Gemini doesn't have hers on yet. And who is this? Somebody else is just connecting. So whenever you come on, just go ahead and mute your mics. So my topic, as I said earlier, is on service and service training. And what does that look like? A lot of times I've seen poses, service poses online. If you look that up, if you Google, a lot of times you have to Google BDSM, and then you have to also put in poses. And you can get female poses or you can get male poses. They're usually all the same. However, what I wanted to get out of today is, what does service look like and how does that look like to you? We have things coming from the S types and we have things coming from the D types. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody has an opportunity with that. I'm gonna go ahead and get my battery. Is Beta 2? Beta 2, are you able to speak today? Are you in a
Sure.
space where you can? Okay,
Yes.
so to answer that first question, so I can run and go get my other battery pack. What does service look like to you? And I'll be right back. Go ahead and give us your perspective of what service looks like for you.
Okay. Service looks like for me is the willingness to learn, to be open and very transparent, honest, and respectful. Already having goals for yourself, have done your research and your study. Um, Making sure you did enough homework on yourself mentally and emotionally to be of service and to be willing to receive the service that you're getting, making sure that you have done your homework on your dominant or your mentor or your trainer. Make sure that you have a good rapport with them. Um, Set the foundation for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like they said earlier, and make sure that you have vetted accordingly to make sure that you guys all have matched energy, and start to have a development criteria blueprint for yourself and an outline for yourself. Always be prepared. Make sure you, as a switch or S type, when you're going into any dynamic training, mentorship, that you already have made yourself aware of all the
Okay.
things necessary and that you present yourself accordingly. It is always very helpful to have a layout, like we said, a blueprint, if that's an email, a spreadsheet, a video graph, however you want to do it. But it always impresses your mentor, your trainer, your dominant, or even your tutor. If you can already public speak. So if you can advocate and speak for yourself already, that is a good tool to have to show that you are confident in yourself and in your speech, that you already know who you are, and where you're trying to go. And if you are unsure, to at least have that written out in black and white. Everything is always open for negotiation,
Mhm.
things to be tabled, things can be, soft or hard. In the presentation, it could always be circled back. Never feel like whatever you say can't be negotiated. That is always something that is always on the table. Make sure you know the rituals and the processes to open up conversation and request to speak freely, and to stay in a calm, respectful tone. And make sure that if you aren't in the headspace, to make sure that you let the person that you are under know that, hey, I'm not in the headspace. I might need a minute. It's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with taking time. Please just always make sure when you do circle back to where you left off that you are prepared to jump back into full swing. There is
Okay.
very much a difference in, just lightly doing something and fully going in. And when I mean fully going in, like this is a 24/7 type of situation, type of training. Your dominant or your switch or your tutor is a 24/7 person. Know that this is their full capacity. Like what you're getting is all of them all the time. So if
All
you
right.
are not
Oh,
that,
oh,
oh, sorry,
okay.
master. I was on a
You're just
roll.
going all the way in. I just wanted you to give me a perspective what service looks like for you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I was on a roll. Going back now.
All right. Um, I know Gemini. Gemini, can you give us a brief synopsis of what service looks like for you? Because service looks different for everyone. That's what I'm trying to get at. So what does it look like for you, Gemini? Gemini, you can unmute. How about you, girl? Girl shy. Oh, there go
Oh, thank you.
Gemini. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Um, Thank you. My service looks like I would say very anticipatory. I think
Oh,
service is really catering to the needs of your mistress or your master or whomever.
did
It's
you
really
type
the
in?
person. Master, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, you were saying your mistress. I was just saying overall your D type, whatever who your D type is.
Right. I think
Yes.
that service should be something very specialized.
Uh-huh.
Service is something that you perform. Service is a verb. To me, myself, service is something that you're always mindful of. Service is a continuous choice to me. You know, it's very, I'm gonna just say it one more time. It's very customized. It's very intimate to me.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm thank you both for sharing that. Um, because the reason why I asked that question is because service tends to look different for each person or each dynamic. And a lot of times we see those things such as service poses and I heard the word anticipatory service. In order for you to provide anticipatory service, you have had to have watched your dominant for a while. You would have to have been around them for a while. Someone who is brand new to a dynamic is probably would run themselves ragged trying to create anticipatory service from the very beginning. A lot of dominance
Coming.
may be uh what word I would say. I don't want to use the word anal. They may be the type of dominant that will write everything down so that you would have a great idea about what does service look like for them. And by you reading that book all the time, you would then have an idea of what their needs are so that you can provide that type of service that they inquire. I'll give you an example. For when my people come to be of service to me, it could be morning service. It's a certain amount of sugar that I want in my tea. But if they were to serve another dominant, that dominant may want 4 cubes of sugar in their tea. So to have anticipatory service, knowing that, for those who don't know what anticipatory service looks like or feels like, all of my people know that I drink tea in the morning unless I ask for coffee. So anticipatory service to them is going to look more like, let me go ahead and be ready to serve sir his tea before he awakens, or let me get everything ready for his tea before he awakens. And in that moment, they will say, when they hear me wake up, sir, would you like your tea now? And that's still anticipatory service, because I may say, no, not today. I want coffee. And so then they would have to switch over and go and get coffee. Again, I would like for everyone to mute your mic so I don't have any the background noises. So again, anticipatory service would look like someone's trying to anticipate what your needs are before you actually ask for it, or they ask you for it. Some, again, when I go back to poses and stuff, whenever you see something like that, that is always, I would say, the basic. We always would want to start with a basic point, meaning if you were to get with if an S type was to get with a D type, or a D type is training an S type to be their S type. There's a difference between someone being of service and someone being of service to you. So in order to give anticipatory service, you have to be in a dynamic where you have studied that person. But if you can also be of service, like to the community, or just be of service to someone. I'll give an example. A general being of service would be for you to volunteer at an event. Meaning you're helping maybe with setup, or you're helping with getting the booths and stuff together, or even breaking stuff down, or even manning the door, or being security. That's being of service to the community. But even with that, at that event, they may want you to do something specific for them. The same thing goes if you're being of service to a particular a dom. You are servicing that person for what they want or what they need. And that can change. The type of service can even change where, say for instance, my submissives would kneel down when we take pictures. They will kneel when they have something that important that they want to say to me directly. But those things can also change in the dynamic, meaning, say for instance, my slave goes through a knee surgery. I'm not going to continue to make her get on her knees just because that's the rule and that's how it goes. So those things can also change and alter. I'll give you another example. I have a submissive. He's I wouldn't say very, very old. He's older. He's older than me. He's 80 something. Yeah, he's 80 something years old. So I know, because I have a certain standard of how I want my house to run, but because he's not able to do all of the things. A lot of times what I notice when people are in service, this up here does not change So they may think that they can still do the things that they used to do. But as a master, as a D type, you have to determine, okay, this person is getting older. They can't move around the way they used to. This person is older. They need a rest. Whereas my other boys, they might can go the whole day with doing service for me. I know that one of my submissives has to take a rest because he has to take naps, and we joke and we laugh about it. But his service changes because time has come in, age has come in. Those are different factors. We also have to factor in not only the dominant getting older and might not be requiring the things that they used to require, but the submissive can get older and they can't do the things that you require them to do. So you have to sit back at the table and say, okay, this is how we alter that. The clever part about that is changing their service depending on how they can perform it without taking away their how to say this, the anonymity, without taking that away of them being making them feel like they're less of a they're doing less of service for you, or they are no longer equipped to do the work that they used to do. I wouldn't say what's needed to be done, because what's needed to be done can be altered. But the real altering is how they perceive what they're doing for you. Because a lot of times they won't take away for the fact that they have a lot on their plate. They won't take in the factor that their bodies don't work the way it used to. I've even had a submissive can't take the heat. And when I say the heat, like when we play, they can't take the heat the way they used to. So all of those things have to be factored in when it comes to someone being of service and training them to be of service to you or being of service for you. I think I have, do I have Mistress D on here? Let's see. No, I have Kitten in them, but I don't see Mistress D. All right. I'm gonna call on. Is this
I'm here,
Jesse?
sir. I'm here,
Oh,
sir.
you're here? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mistress, can you help me out here? What does service look like for for you? What does service look like when people are giving service to you? What does that look like?
When people are giving service to me, it looks like this. Let's see. While they are getting my drinks, getting uh my food, I do a lot of kink and fetish rooms. So my service comes along with assisting me in the dungeon. Um,
Mm-hmm.
cleaning the implements after I use them, putting them back, anticipating my needs in the dungeon, um, that sort of thing. Helping me get dressed in between things. Let's see, paperwork, uh, getting signatures. Making sure we have all the negotiation things together. It depends. I have a lot of different areas of service in
So
my house.
can I say without knowing you, that someone being of service to you would look like, if I wasn't kinky and I didn't know what BDSM service looked like, would I, if I was vanilla, would
Ooh,
I say that that would look more like a personal assistant?
yes, it could definitely look like a personal assistant.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so with someone being a personal assistant, wouldn't you have to trust them a lot?
you do have to trust them. You do have to put a lot of trust into them because they are really right next to you. They are your person. They're like your bone here. They're so
So
yeah.
them being that close to you, now I went from being vanilla to now being I'm being more like a lawyer. Okay, and you're on trial.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that this person that would be close to you, would that be allowing you to be vulnerable because they are so close to you that they are
Absolutely,
learning
you
a
have to
lot
be.
of stuff about you?
Absolutely, it absolutely entitles you to be vulnerable. You have to be vulnerable because the position you're putting them in, and you're allowing them in that part of your space. You definitely have to be vulnerable in order for them to serve you correctly. Yes,
When you have to trust that person too?
definitely trust them. Yes,
Mm. And to have them close to you like that and trust them, wouldn't you, them and you would have to have great integrity?
absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm. Would you just put anybody close to you like that that wasn't showing you some type of loyalty?
No, sir, I would not.
Okay, so loyalty is involved in this too.
Yes. And then respect we're gonna put on the end of that, sir. And all of those pillars come together for service. Yes, sir.
See, so you saw where I was going with
Oh,
that
I already knew. Yes,
integration. You
yeah,
saw where I was going at with that, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so all of the pillars that you allow yourself to be vulnerable with another person, that you 9 times out of 10 you've vetted that person to even get that close to you.
Yes, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Now, I don't serve you, but I know I've been around you long enough that if I was to want to give you anticipatory service, and those who don't know you, I already know that Miss if I get her a drink, if I get Mistress a drink and it comes in a plastic cup, then I have to do what? I have to find a glass container or
Mhm.
some other type of container because I know that Mistress doesn't drink out of plastic and she damn sure don't drink out of paper.
Absolutely correct.
So this is where anticipatory service comes from. I've
Right.
been I've been allowed to be around her long enough to know what she likes and what she doesn't like. And if she sends me to go get a drink and it comes in a paper cup or a plastic cup, now I have to ask the bartender, can you please give me glass? Because I got to give this to my mistress and she doesn't drink out of that. Oh, I don't even have to
Absolutely.
say all of that to the bartender. All I have to say is, I need a glass cup. Oh, I need a glass container.
Right. Right.
And
And if
so,
if you belong to me, if you're in my house, you already have my cup with you, knowing that they're probably going to give you a paper cup, so you just pour it into my cup. Because
boom.
I bring my own things. I don't eat paper, plastic, plates, cups, forks, knives,
Right.
nothing. Hmm.
So this is for those who don't understand the background when it comes to service. So I'm glad that you said you bring your own things. You bring your own things. That is so that I don't set my submissive up for
For
failure.
failure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And these are the things that people who are inquisitive and inquire about what we do and how we do it, especially when you're not living this lifestyle on the weekends, you're living this lifestyle 24/7.
Right.
There are certain things that as a D type, we have to acquire.
Hmm.
I can't I can't ask my I can't go out in our community and say, I'm looking for someone, I'm looking for a submissive that do domestic service, and then I don't have a place to live. How am I going to ask for somebody that do domestic service and I have nowhere for them to clean? I don't have nothing, no roof over my head. Or I want to spank you because that's your kink, but I don't have no paddles, I don't have no canes, I don't have no floggers. It takes time. It takes time to acquire the things that you need in order for you to even get to that step. And I think that's one of the things, like when you're training someone, I train, I'll give you an example. when my tea is served, they have to serve my tea a certain way. If the cup has a handle, the handle, I'm gonna be the submissive. If I hand you the cup, the handle has to be right here because I'm right-handed, so I can just grab the cup. If the handle is turned the other way, I just look at my submissive and I look at the cup and I look at my submissive. If they don't figure it out, or 9 times out of 10, one of my other subs, or I would say my beta 2, has already instructed them. That's what your major domo is for. A lot of times, if you have a big house, you'll assign you a major domo, and that major domo will teach the other people who come into the house how to serve you, how to serve the head of household. But in order for my major domo to know how that's done, I have to take the time out to teach them that. I think that a lot of times, the frustration that I hear with a lot of S types who want to know how to serve is that, oh, there's no rule book, or my dominant hasn't taken the time to teach me how they want to be served. And with the mixed communication comes in is the submissive has gone online or read books or seen movies, and they're emulating what they see because the D type hasn't taken the time to teach them, this is how I want to be served. Me, not this is how you serve everybody. And there comes a big difference. So with D types, we can want to be served, but we have to put in the time and the energy to teach our submissives how to serve us. And I think that takes in, it alleviates a lot of miscommunication. And you also should give your S types a lot of grace, especially when they're learning you and they're learning how to serve you. Okay. And it takes time. It's a journey, not a race. I think that a lot of S types don't give themselves enough grace because they want to be so perfect that they leave no room or energy for them to mess up or not get it right the first time. If you get it right the first time, then it's all good. But if you mess up, use that mess up as a way of saying, okay, I thought I knew what you wanted. Now this is an opportunity for us to have the learning curve. Which way do you want your tea? Which way should the cup be? How hot should your tea be? Should I let you know how hot or how cold something is? One of the things that I would suggest, if you're just coming into a dynamic and you wish to one day have anticipatory service, the things that you already know how to do, you should write those things down so that when you're going to the table for negotiation, you can already present to your S type. These are the things that I know how to do. Or any of the things that I really, really, really love doing and I know how to do. Are you in need of any of these things? And then the D type can say, these are all the things that I enjoy. And this is how I want it done. And then you can, as the S type, can take the time to say, okay, I know how to do this, I know how to do this, and I know how to do this. Out of the things that you said that you want done. Now I need to know how you want it done. Because that way of the way you want it done may look a whole lot different than how I have been doing it. Okay. So that's a big conversation that if you're, if you're looking for a D type or you have a D type or your D types are looking for S types, these are some of the tricks of the trade that I guess I can say that can help your dynamics go a little bit better. Communication is always the big thing. The way I operate on trial and error because I always want to see what they got. I want to see what they have already. I'll give y'all an example. In my house, I have a table that has crystal decanters on it, and it also has some crystal cups. And everything is always a test. One of the things that I do is I ask them to clean that table with the decanters on it. And for a long time, I used to have submissives that would take everything off and they would clean this canister and then they would try to figure out how to put it back. And I'm an emotional sadist. So I would just sit back and watch them like bum fumble it and try to figure out, that little game where you used to take things apart and then put it right back together again, and put it on the pieces or the memory cards. It was almost like that. And then I had a submissive come in and I told them, I want you to clean this table today. I want you to take all the things off and clean the table. And this little smart fucker pulls out his cell phone and takes a picture of it before he even starts. I was like, damn. So I didn't get a chance to see them bum fumbling through it because they already had anticipatory service that I want to get it right back the way it was. Taking it all off and cleaning it was never the problem. Putting everything back the way it was the key. And he figured out, let me take a picture of it. And when he got done, I couldn't even tell I could tell that everything was clean, but you would think that he had put everything back right on a dot. And so it was very clever to watch that. It was very clever to see that they were just so intense about what they were doing that they wanted to get it right to the point where they took a picture of it. And that, to me, that was anticipatory service because, of course, I probably would have said something like, oh, you missed this glass or you put the glass in the wrong spot, but they cut all of that out. Yeah, that was really cool for me. Now, when it comes to training, what does training look like to you? I'm gonna say, you know what? Boy Boogie is on here. All right, Boy Boogie, can you come and tell me what training in in service looks like to you?
Wow, I just got here. Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
So for me, can I speak to both sides or just one side?
Yeah, you can speak on both sides, from both ends. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so for me, training from a submissive side looks like, having skills or having goals that you want to learn, and from there having your D type set out. Okay, you want to learn this. This is where you want to go. Here are the tools, here are the assignments to do to get to where you need to be. I'm not going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
But this is the roadmap. So you got to do the roadmap in order to get to where you want to go. And from a dominant standpoint, if I was to say, if a submissive was to say to me, or like, I want to learn this and I want to do this, my question would be why? Not why because I want to know, but what is your why? What is your why for why you want to do this? And gauge it from there. Because if it sounds like you just want to do it because you think that's what I want, then it's not genuine. You're just doing it because That's what you think. But I want to know your reason. What is the reason behind it? What is the motive behind it? What is the intent behind it? So that's
There we
what
go.
training looks like for me on both sides.
Yes. I love the fact that you brought up the word intent. Intent and fun are one of my key words when it comes to training. Because if there's no intention behind you doing the training that you're getting ready to do, or getting ready to receive, or get the training that you're getting ready to um, issue out, then there will be no purpose. And if you're not having fun in it, then why do it? Okay. I think one of the golden rules, thank you, Boogie, for that. One of the golden rules that I have always administered when it comes to training people to serve me in service is I would never, as a D type, I would never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. If I ask you to clean my bathroom, it's because I cleaned the bathroom. If I ask you to clean the kitchen, it's because I've cleaned the kitchen. If I ask you to vacuum or, wipe down the mirrors in this house, it's because I've done it too. There's a lot of times when in the beginning, I wouldn't ask my submissives to do stuff. I would do it myself just to see if, like, say for instance, I would pick up the broom and start sweeping because the kitchen needed to be swept. And they'd be like, "Oh no, sir, let me take that broom. Why are you, my slave actually gets upset if she sees me cleaning something." But I try to do those things to, one, let them see that I'm not afraid to do the things that I ask them to do, and two, see if they will take the initiative. If they'll take the initiative to either watch how it's being done and then do it themselves the next time, or watch how I'm doing it and don't want me to do it till they'll do it. It's almost like, if Master Eli is washing the dishes, that means the dishes need to be washed. So let me go ahead and do it. Or they'll see how I wash my dishes and then they'll emulate what I've done so that they get it right. And I guess that'll go into their anticipatory service bag, I guess. But I've gotten to that point in my life where if I have a submissive that comes in and they wash dishes different than I wash dishes, I'm not so anal that I want you to wash the dishes exactly how I wash them. I'm at the point in my life now, as long as the dishes get washed and they don't have food on them after you finish washing them, I'm good. Anybody else like that? Are you anal about the things that you I want to hear from a dominant side? Any dominance in here? I think I've talked to Mistress already, and then I have a switch. Any switches in here? Any other switches in here besides Boogie? Do I have another switch in here? Everybody's quiet. Everybody's quiet. Hellhound, you're a switch.
What was the this mistress again? What was your question?
My question was, is there anything when it comes to service that you're very anal about, or you have to have it a certain kind of way, or just don't have it at all?
Everything. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very anal, sir. I'm very anal, but just going back a little bit to what you just said about them putting stuff together and how, someone took the picture. So my major domo is famous for taking a picture of how I have the dungeon set up, because she knows that once I move stuff around and I'm using my implements, she makes sure she puts them back in the exact place that I had them in. So she has taught people to take a picture. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
okay, this weekend I had an event and I had 3 of my girls there. One being Kitten, of course, and then I had Gemini and I had the girl Shy. The girl Shy was her first time. So on Saturday evening, Mistress decided to go to bed and they had to pack up the dungeon. And I left them. I was not there to tell them anything. And I think they they did well, because guess what? Everything got in every place that it belonged. I mean, everything got away. Okay. And they put everything away. But I I usually stand there and say, put this here, put this there, do this. But I did it, number one, so they can come together as a house, as a whole, working together. Number
Mm-hmm.
two, you've seen me do this. I've told you where to do it. But let's see how much you retain from what I told you, because then we can go on to saying, okay, well, this is what we need more teaching on, and this what I, don't need more teaching on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it, but I think I stressed them out. I think I stressed Kitten out the most, because Kitten is the senior one of my girls that was there. So she's like, I'm trying to think to myself where to put everything, and then they're saying, hey, where do I put this? So it was kind of stressing her out, and I told her, next time what you do is tell them to be quiet, and you think about where you need to put something, and you give them orders on where they do it. So that way you won't stress yourself out. But they did a good job because they put everything away. And that's what I wanted to see them do. They took the initiative. It might have stressed them out, but back to that, So that's what I
Okay. All
okay.
right. What I've heard in what you just said is not only were you checking them out to see if they retain what you told them already, because I'm one of those people that I don't like to repeat myself. So the retention of what you have learned in your training is also important.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I heard was you were setting your major domo up to actually not only facilitate what was going on, but they also, what's the word I'm looking for, when you delegate.
Delegate. Absolutely.
And that is a very big, important part of training as well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have more than one person in the house, you have to have people that are willing to listen to the other person who's been there longer than them. And when they delegate certain things to them, they have to listen as if it came from the trainer's mouth.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's
and
one of the
also need to know, like, we all can't work on the same thing. And it's a whole dungeon here. So you get this, I get this, and I get this. It's a little teamwork. We're working together, and that also builds their camaraderie, and that builds their, their familyness and everything as well.
Yeah. I think that you correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of D types love to see when their S types can work together to complete a goal.
Yes.
I know what you do individually.
Right.
One of the reasons why I'll use a vanilla term. The reason why I hired you in the first place and you're a part of the team is because you have a certain skill level. Now, what I want to see is teamwork. Mm-hmm. Meaning you take that that skill level and use it to help the whole and not just you as an individual.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's one of the things that is usually missing when it comes to training people. When I train you, when you have been trained, you have to do things over and over to retain it, and the retention. And then not only you retain what is taught to you, now you're able to teach someone else that's beside you what you have obtained.
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of the things in training. Is there something in anyone's training in their dynamic that they question or they wonder about? Anyone? I'm looking for hands to be held up. Let's see. I don't see any hands. All right. So everybody got this whole training thing down pat. Okay. Okay. I see a hand. Boy Noble, can you come on in? Let us know.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, when it comes to training, what I found out in my dynamic is that I learn a lot through observation. So it's not like you're like being told A to Z what to do exactly. Speaking of crystals, by the way, somebody took the crystals off the table and put them in the zinc and then asked me later to wash them and then get a chance to see, where to put them back at, which leads to this conversation. You know, when you don't know something, don't act like you know. Just ask the question. And so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
a person. I'm a person that will ask the question because I rather do it right the first time because I'm very anal about having to go back and do things the second time. So if I'm not getting clear instruction, if I'm not getting clear direction, I'm very observant. So, I notice things, but if there's a little question in my head about a certain thing, I'm not afraid to ask at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that when you're in training, that is one of the number one things, not to be afraid to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. No question is a wrong question. A question is just that. And if you ask your dominant questions and they have a problem with answering it, I would say to you that that might be another time for you to have a deeper conversation about your dynamic. Because
Yes.
if you can't communicate and they can't answer when you have questions about something, especially when serving them, you probably want to dive a little bit deeper in what that dynamic looks like for you both.
Yes, sir.
One of
And
the other questions I would have, because you made a statement that you're very anal about things.
Yes.
Do you give yourself grace when you do mess up or you don't get it right the first time? Do you give yourself grace or do you just throw everything, some people get mad and they just throw everything away and just like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it at all because I didn't get it right. How do you respond to you not getting it right the first time? How does that look to you?
no, I don't. I don't respond in that way. Internally,
Oh,
internally, I may feel a certain kind of way that I didn't get it right the first time, but I keep all that internally. But I use it as fuel and energy to still push myself forward and figuring it out. Like I don't give up, not a quitter. And again, it just leads to opportunities of growth, being able to understand what the task is, being able to comprehend the task because, reading, hearing, without comprehension, you don't understand, you don't have the totality of understanding of what it is that you're trying to do. And so, being that I'm new in the game, I give myself grace,
Okay.
um, and hoping that the person I'm in dynamic with gives me grace. And that's on both sides as a S type and then as a D type to my S type, my pup. Um, you know, it should be just we talk about energy exchange. It should be mutual exchange of grace um, towards each other when we're trying to learn and discover. Because dynamics is all about discovery.
Yeah.
It's all about learning the rituals, the traditions, the customs of the person that you're serving. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And you brought another point too that I want to put out. When you're in training, understand that there are different ways to be trained. You have to understand the ways that people learn as human beings. So some people, you can give them a book and they'll read that book and they know exactly what to do. Like somebody that reads instructions, they know exactly what to do. There are also other people who learn from you have to talk them through it. Okay.
mhm.
And that's just the way that their minds work. Some people have to you are going to have to physically show them exactly what it is that you want done.
Mhm.
So with those learning tools, the way we learn is also incorporated into when you're being trained in BDSM, and when you're being trained. One of the reasons why when someone wants to learn a certain skill set, meaning if they want to learn how to whip, I need them to know how a whip is built, what the reason a whip is for. They're going to feel that whip on them, and they're going to learn how to use the whip. Once all of those things are have been done, then they have to teach it out. Meaning they're going to have to perform that whip, all that whip training that I gave them. They're going to have to demo that to me. And they're not going to use me to do it. They're going to have to use someone that they have developed a relationship with. And the skill set that I'm looking for is, I'm not going to tell them who they're going to play with. So they're going to have to negotiate. So their negotiation skills are going to have to be put in place. And they have to turn over to me what that negotiation looked like. So when I'm watching them perform the whip training, I also have the piece of paper that shows me what all of they go through when they went through the negotiation with the person. I need to know all of those things, because I need to know that you know all the components that comes with doing what you're doing with great intention. So that's what training looks like to me. And you have to make sure that you hit on all of the points so the person can be well rounded. I see a hand up. LS. Oh, I ain't got my glasses on. You have on a red shirt. Can you come on and tell me what your name? All I can see is K.
Sir. Yes, sir. It's KT. How are you
KC.
today?
I'm doing well.
The question that I had was, when you mentioned grace period. What are the grace period, like weeks, days? What would you consider?
Good question. In training, so when I have someone in training, I'm looking at least depending on what they're coming to be trained in. If they're coming to be in train, if I'm training them for my dynamic, I need at least a year. I need at least a year and a half to train you to be in a dynamic with me.
Okay.
One of the things that I do for me, I give them a consideration collar first, and that consideration collar lets them know that, okay, now you have access to me. Now you're on my radar. I'm on your radar, and that time limit looks like a year and a half of just being me considering you to be mine. Okay. Then they go from a training period of like a year and a half to going from a consideration period of a year and a half to going into a training period, which is looking like a year and a half for me. And the reason why I'm saying a year and a half is because the buildup is, I need you to at least have 4 years of committed that this is what you want to do. Because for me, when you sign up in the military, you sign up for 4 years. They don't have a 2-year program. They don't have a 1-year program. They have a 4-year program. So for me, if you want to be a part of me, you need to be signing up at least 4 years of your life to be with me. Because it's going to take you 4 years to actually, that anticipatory service that people talk about. When you see someone that their submissive can almost finish their sentence, that submissive knows exactly what it is that makes that dominant tick, they have been there for 4 years or more.
Yes,
it takes 4 years for you to really get it right. For real. Those first 3 years, y'all just trying to figure each other out. But what I try to do is have those sections of train. I'm getting to know you for a year and a half, and then I'm gonna train you. Because that first year that I meet you, I can't pour all myself into you because you might.
I don't trust you like that.
Right. Exactly. I'm gonna trust you with a few things, but I can't trust you with everything.
Yeah,
So, because we talked about how vulnerable a lot of masters are. And when you see, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna say this here. When you see people who fall out and the dynamic doesn't go well and they don't fall out, 9 times out of 10, it's because at some point trust was broken in that dynamic. Somebody didn't tell somebody something that they should have told them. There was some
right.
lying going on. And of course, lying goes to, I wouldn't even use the word cheating. I don't use the word cheating because we live in a community where what is really cheating? Cheating is
Right.
you lied to me.
Yeah.
Dishonesty. You broken my trust. That's what cheating is. So I don't even use the word cheating. I use the word that's more powerful. I can no longer trust you because you weren't authentic.
Well put, sir. Well put, sir.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can no longer trust you, or my trust is wavering because you are not as authentic as you perceive to be.
And
So
that
that's
won't
where that's
do.
where the anger comes in at. And a lot of times we as people, especially people of color, we
Right.
already embedded with a lot of distrust. So we have to do we have I can speak for myself. I have to go above and beyond for me to put trust in you
Right.
because it's already been suppressed, right? For protection. I have to suppress it for protection to protect myself. So if
Or
I allow it to seep out and it falls on you, it's because I've done a lot to allow that to happen. A lot of D types make it look easy, but they're doing a lot of fucking hard work. They just make it
okay.
look easy.
Or
That's it. They make it look very, very easy. And it comes across as, oh, that's just what we do. No, it's not. It's not. And if a D type trusts you enough to, I'll give you something simple. If I give you my credit card, tell you to go in there and go order the food and stuff, that's a lot for me.
yeah. Yeah, that's your
That's a lot.
finances. That's real close to you. Nah, and I gotta
Yeah,
trust you for you to be conducive to my life. So yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So those are the things that I would definitely be mindful of how you're teaching a person, be mindful of how close your intimate space that you're letting them in. That break off those time limits where, okay, after 6 months, I'll let you, it's almost like dating.
Yeah.
When you first meet somebody, you ain't telling them where you live at. You're gonna meet them out someplace.
Or get a room or get a
Right.
room.
And the longer we are together, the more and more I allow you to know more and more intimate spaces of mine. Um, so when it comes to, I would say, consider them for a year, because after a year, some of the shit that they pretend to do is gonna fall off. You're gonna kind of see them for who
Oh,
they are in a year time. And
oh yeah.
then after 2 years, they're gonna get comfortable. They're gonna get comfortable. You're gonna be like, oh shit, those aren't really your eyelashes? Oh, okay. All right. You wear fake
Yeah,
eyelashes. All right. After a
you got a
year,
status?
they're gonna they
Okay.
gonna slip up and not have them lashes on. You're gonna know
Yeah.
that that their lashes really, really short. So I would tell people, be willing to invest the time so that you can really get to know the person. that you are trying to be in a dynamic with. Don't rush it. The same way with, there's some dominance and some mistress where you can be in service to them and it would take 2 years before they even introduce you to the public. You wouldn't be known that you are attached to that person for over 2 years. That's the way it used to be back in the day. You could be working your ass off in their house and nobody would never know that you attached to that mistress or attached to that master until 2 years after you had already been serving them. So that's something to think about. Mistress.
Yes,
so did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mistress, I saw your hand up. Go ahead for me.
Yes, what I was going to add to that was everybody runs their house a little different. So for master, he take you in consideration, you're there, whatever. But before you can even petition me, you have to be in service in my house for 6 months to a year in service before you can even petition me for ownership. And then once I accept your petition, then you're under consideration. But that's going to be another 6 months to a year or more before you get a training collar. And then it's going to be another 6 months to a year after training that you get collared, or 2 years. It depends on, So I look at it like when you come in and want to be a part of my house, you go for your interview and your in service part. You know what I mean? And then you're doing your like pre on the job training and you're under consideration phase. And then you go into your training to see if you really want to be, in this job. And my thing is it kind of weeds out the people who are just collar chasing, because there are people who
do that. Yeah. They just collar chasing,
and they don't want to put in the work to get where it's, so if I tell somebody my thing and they're looking at me like, oh, take all of that. And if you say that, yeah, baby, this not for you. Because yes, it does take all of that and a little bit more, because you have to know that you're serious.
Like a wedding.
Right. Because I invest in my craft. I'm serious about my craft. This is my lifestyle. This is how I live. So I need to know that you're serious about this. Everybody wants a master, mistress. Everybody wants the, but are you willing to put...
But you're not going to play on my top to get it. Exactly.
Right. Absolutely. And it's a power exchange, but I'm going to give of you, but I need you to give of you too. We have to do this thing back and forth. It's not just the give thing. So
yeah, I always tell people, mistress, I said, don't ask what the Illuminati house can do for you. Tell us what you can do for the Illuminati house.
Absolutely. And see, I have about a 50 question vetting questionnaire, and 9 times out of 10 they don't get through that. Because if you can't fill out my Google Doc that I need you to fill out just for when we're starting to vet, you don't even get through the process.
Those are all. A lot of times people ask like, they'll ask like, okay, so what does your training process look like, or what does it take to get into the House of Ra? A lot of times I would say it is different for each person, but the application is long for a reason. Because I need to know, I need to know if you're willing to put in the time.
Absolutely.
For what you say you want.
Right. Because the energy.
Yeah. I need you to, I need to see if you're willing to, I'm going to say this. My house, I've been through a lot of stuff. My house, because I've been through a lot of stuff, my house has been through a lot of stuff. But I can honestly say that I am happy that I've been through those things, because I got to see who was going to stick it out and who did not have the balls or the breasts. I don't give a damn. But I needed to see who really was about it. And the people who weren't trying to be loyal, the people who they question the trust, they will slack off or not be there. The people who really want to be there through the thick and thin, when shit really hit the fan, those were the true warriors. And you get to see that. Because I can tell you right now, you could build your house and everything is peach and keen and cute in the beginning. But this first time you go through some strife and tribulations, the people who got your back, who still stay right there, those are the ones that you want to keep. The ones who go silent, those are the ones that you probably going to have to keep your eyes on. You know, and I look at I look at having a house and training almost like the little Bible story. Every house is going to have a Judas. Everything that you're trying to do is going to have a Judas. But Judas had a place at the table too. So even though some people aren't meant to be there until the end, know that each person that comes through has a purpose and they have a place at the table. It's up to the head of household to determine who is going to be that person. And you'll be surprised, just like the person asked Jesus, who is this person that you're talking about? Jesus already knew. 9 times out of 10, the head of household already know who's going to be there and who ain't. And you're going to have somebody in your household is going to ask, who do you think is not going to be here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to you to figure out whose cards are going to flip when the table turns. But
what
when
about?
Go ahead.
I apologize. What about the D types that do get S types just for the sex part, but they're not willing to give the grace or the training period for them to make it to where they need to be in the status of their house, and they just want them just for sex or just to for the gratification to say I have that.
Well, but for those, this is the thing. If you're an S type and you're asking your D type for training and they're not giving you the training and they don't have the words to say, your training doesn't start until such and such a day, or I'm holding off from training you on this because I'm doing this with you right now. If they don't have the words, then you already know that they're not putting into you what it is that you want. And those things need to be discussed in the beginning. When you first sit down for your contract, when you first sit down for your negotiations to be in that house, these are the things, these are the questions that's why I say you need to first know what it is that you provide, what you come to the table with. And then when you put those things on the table to say, these are the things that I know how to do. How can these things that I have be of service to you or to your house? Because they're two entities. They're two separate entities. Someone bringing service to that person is one thing. If they bring talents to the house, that's a whole nother thing. Because you can be a person who wants to be trained for something specific, or you just want to serve that person and you don't want to be a part of the house. That's a thing too. Just because I have a house doesn't mean that you got to be a part of my house. You could just want to just serve me and that's it. And then roll out about your business and not have no responsibility. And that works for people who do not work well in groups. If you don't work well with others, I advise you to say in the beginning, I don't work well with others. I respect your house, but I just want to serve you. You can serve me and then move to the side. But know that you don't have any, just because you serve me, you don't have any authority when it comes to how this house runs, because you're just serving me. So you have to know, they have to know their place when it comes to how they come into training or into service. Yes.
Sir, can I take that the other way real quick?
Go ahead, and then I'm gonna go to Boy Boogie, because Boy Boogie had his.
Just on the other way of that. When you're coming into a dynamic it is as the S type, and this is what I teach S types as I help them and guide them and
Right.
protect them. You need to vet and know whether you're going into a dynamic that is sexually based or is it a dynamic that is service based. Okay,
Right.
you need to ask
Right.
those questions. If this dynamic is leading with sex, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to get the service part. You're not going to get the part. So whoever the S type is, needs to make it known and needs to ask the important questions to know what this is about. Because some
Right.
people have sexual dynamics. And I'm not saying
Yes.
anything is right or wrong, but if that's not what you want, you need to make that known up front so that you won't be expecting to learn and be in of service and they
Right.
want you with sex.
Because
Right.
sex is
Well,
a
I know a couple of
service.
S types that do that are going through that as well. And
Right,
it's like, well, if
right.
you're starting to feel that D type is not for you, or your feelings are not being heard and they don't care, then you may want to renegotiate your contract and switch up
Absolutely.
some stuff.
Because sex is a service,
It is.
okay?
Yes,
But so
it
you
is.
need to know what type of services do you require of me? And what am
Right.
I getting out of dynamic as well as what I'm putting into the dynamic? Okay, I'm gonna be
Correct.
quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely
you.
right. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
bringing
Mister.
that up.
All right.
Boy Boogie, come on board.
Well, you kind of like answered both questions, both mistress and you. Um, you sir, because my dynamic is fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
It's educational based. So that means that
Okay.
there's a lot of books and there's a lot of reading, lots of reading. And I
Welcome
know,
to the Misfits.
and I know for me, like, yes, I can like pick up things and like I can read them and get a thing. But I know for me, I my way of like learning like and getting everything is if I see it. If I see it being done, because I I watch when at events and I watch demos, like I'm watching the technique. I'm watching what's going on. Yes, it may be, hype and everybody be like, "Oh, that was great." And it will be. But like for me, I'm watching the technique. And then it's like, okay, and then I'm asking, okay, how can I master my technique? How can I make this something that will work for me, but
Me, right.
also looking at how it's going. So books is really not my thing because I need to see it and they're doing and dealing with my neural spiciness. It's like I need to see it so that because I can see the endpoint, just putting the pieces together. That's just like
Right.
gets me.
What
But
I was if I can make a suggestion for you,
Mhm.
always see if the books that you are having to read comes in audio so that you can hear it and then you can be doing something like around it or doing something close to it. Because what I've witnessed with you is things have to have color to it. It has to flash. It has to even get your attention.
Yeah.
So just being in a little black and white book, that's going to be a little boring for you. So to
It's hard to
hear it,
focus.
yes, to hear it, but what I've seen is that you can multitask, and multitasking keeps you alert. So to have that book in your head, listening to it and doing something else with your hands, you will probably retain what it is, whatever that book is that you need. I hope
Yeah.
that helped.
No, that thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for your
yeah,
suggestions.
because you're hands on. You like to see it or watch it or hear it. All of those things are stimulants for you. The flashy lights, the noise, all of that is stimulants to you. So when it comes to learning, your learning has to be stimulated with all of the things, sound, color, all of those things have to be stimulated for you to retain it.
Yeah. And I love the fact that I am getting like books, because one of the things that I was like, I like to educate. if for order for me to educate, I need to know what it is I'm educating about. And
Right.
so that was like, that goes back to the reason why I petitioned, is
Mhm.
because that was my why. My why
Yep.
was being a guide, to be a reference point to somebody who's coming up after,
Yeah.
because I was that person. I was that person just looking for knowledge and seeking knowledge and doing all that stuff. So things kind of fell in place. But I guess to add to like what was going on, it's like you have to know your why. You
Yep.
have to know your why, and not just, because you want a collar. If that's the case, you can go buy a collar. You know what I mean? Like, go buy it. That's what people are doing these days anyway. Let's be real. So
But
it's
but if
like
you want to be authentic and you actually want that collar on your neck to stand for something,
something.
then you're willing to do the work that comes along with it and comes behind it. Because
Absolutely.
anybody, like you said, anybody can get a collar. I I would hope that my people realize that they just don't have a collar on because everybody has a collar on. I would hope that people that have my collar would think that I want them to believe and think that this comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot because the person that put this collar on gives me a lot. So I have to give a lot because they give me a lot. That's what the collar stands for. So that's why one of the reasons why with a training collar, I get upset when I see people like, with a training collar that looks like mine and they're just using it for fashion. I'm like, oh, now I got to change my collar again. That's where I was at one point. But those training takes a lot of time, and it's a very intimate thing because even if I teach you a skill set, it's intimate because I'm teaching you how I do it. And then you can put your twist on it to make it yours. But you have to remember that I taught you how I do it, and it's very intimate. 9 times out of 10, I'm sharing my time with you with training. I'm sharing my energy with you with training. I'm sharing my knowledge with you, and I'm giving you part of my legacy. And for some people, they pay for that. And some people, if you're not paying for it, like literally paying, some people I've heard them say, you want us to train you, it's gonna be $5,000 right off the bat. So understand that when you get someone that's want to put a collar on you and train you, that right off the rip, they're giving you $5,000 of their time and their energy that they could be given to somebody else that's paying them good money. So I think that sometimes that's lost in understanding. I know, I've heard stories where dominant people want to get trained by other dominant, and they that blue money looks like $5,000 or $10,000 just right off the rip. Don't even come my way if you don't have these coins. So when you find somebody that's willing to give you their time and their energy and take the time with you so that you could be a better person than you was when they met you, I think that a little bit of humbleness and a little bit of grace for both of you is well deserved. Well deserved. Well deserved. We got any more questions? Any more? Oh, I see a hand up. Okay, boy Noble, can you come on?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, speaking of that, I was gonna talk about that too. We some S types talking about always the D type, not training them, not training them, not training them. However, the S type must also be of good character. They must have
Trainable.
integrity. They must be trainable. And so I'm not going to trust you with a flogger. I'm not going to trust you with a electro kit. I'm not going to trust you with rope if your behavior is disrespectful, for one, if you can't follow orders, for two, if your emotions are not in check, for three, if your mental health ain't right, for four, and the list continues to go on and on. You're
Yep.
going to receive training from me as the letter daddy. You're going to receive training from me as the handler. And you're going to receive training from me as the alpha boy. But you're going to receive training and discipline first before you touch any implement.
That
Period.
part. Right.
Because if I can't trust you when you're in my presence, how the hell I'm going to trust you when you're not in my presence?
Ooh.
That's all I want
That
to
part.
say.
That,
Oops. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my.
oh my. Oh my. Everybody's like, oh my.
Oh my.
He said on that song, Aubrey, gotta get
Because the
it.
Okay,
S type
brother.
is always calling about, oh, you ain't training
Preach,
me, you
preach,
ain't training
preach,
me, you ain't.
preach.
Oh, you getting trained. You getting
You're
trained
right.
how to keep that character in check. That's what you getting trained in first.
Period, bro. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me get
And
off.
I'm glad that you brought that out, because I think a lot of times what people fail to realize is that when a D type trains an S type, or trains or mentor another D type, or switch, excuse me, that person becomes a direct bypart of the person who they train. So I'll give you an example. I train Boogie how to flog, and the community knows that I train Boogie how to flog. And then Boogie decides that he wants to go to Folsom East, and he's flogging somebody out in the open on a stage. And every time Boogie throws the flogger wraps around the person's neck, or it pulls, and he hits them on their kidney, and something happened. You know what people are gonna say? They're not gonna say Boogie just fucked that person up. They're gonna say, I thought Boogie got trained by Master Eli. He out here doing fuck shit, and he was trained by Master Eli. Somehow, some way, Master Eli don't even have to be there. He don't even have to be at the event. Master Eli don't even have to be nowhere in New York. But I guarantee you, Master Eli's name is going to pop up, because people know that Boogie was trained by Master Eli, and Boogie is on stage doing fuck shit. Boogie is on stage fucking up that person's neck and spine and hitting his kidney. But 9 times out of 10, Boogie's name is not going to get mentioned. Master Eli's name going to get mentioned, because Master Eli is the one that showed him how to do it. So a lot of times people don't understand your reputation when you're training somebody. If that person, like you said, boy, if they are not showing you that they can control their feelings, their emotions, they're stable, that they're safe, they have integrity, that you can trust them, all of those things. If they're not showing those things, you're putting your reputation on the line by giving them any of the knowledge that you have, and they turn around and take that knowledge and use it unwisely. So 9 times, another thing, we spoke about D types that's hesitant, or they're not teaching the S type. A conversation need to be had, but then that's where the D type can say, you're untrustworthy at the time. That's why I'm not teaching you anything. You don't deserve me to teach you this right now, because you need to work on A, B, C, and D before we can get to that part.
Absolutely.
That's where the D type has to take control of the situation and take control of the training, and be able to articulate and state what and communicate what the how training looks from the very, very beginning, and what it's going to encompass. before you all sit down and sign a contract or negotiate being a mentee for training? I hope that
Absolutely.
helps. Hope that helps. Hope that helps. Do we have any other questions? Any scenarios? Everybody's so quiet. Did I hear from Hellhound? Hellhound, I haven't heard from you yet. I have a question. Hellhound was just here recently, and he's. I'm just gonna keep it real. He's been in the consideration collar for 10 months, and he came here to do his training for electrical play, and we did rope bondage, and he had the opportunity of we had an event to go to, so a lot of he got to serve me, and one of the things he did anticipatory service because they had called for lunch, and one of the young ladies from the event came in and said lunch is being served and I'm still trying to set up, and boy stopped what he was doing, ran to wherever the lunch counter was because I didn't even know where it was, and came back with a plate and came back with juice and came back with water and came back with all of these things. And I was like, oh, wow. He's like, you need to eat, sir. And I was like, oh, okay. You know that I need to eat more than I know I need to eat. But I love that. Great. Time for me to eat. And I sat down and I ate. But I don't even know that Hellhound realized that he was doing anticipatory service because I wasn't ready to go get the lunch. And so I couldn't go get the lunch. He brought the lunch to me because he knew that I needed to eat because we hadn't had breakfast. And so that was good. Hellhound, are you available? Or you just got your phone on? Are you here? Oh,
I'm here,
you're
sir.
right here. Would you like to share with us what the service, your service looked like for this weekend that just passed, and how did it change your perspective on service?
So my service this weekend started off with service at the house.
Mhm.
Then I went to an event and served the lecture community as my service serving the community. I got to see how he interacted with the community. Then I got to work the booth for the house. Then I get to go take care of some more errands for the house. Please forgive me, I am having to multitask, sir.
Okay.
It's a lot more work than people realize. Getting him dressed, getting his boots on, lacing his boots up, zipping his boots up, taking his boots off, making sure he gets dressed before I get dressed, making sure I serve him before I serve myself. And I had a hiccup where I took a bite of something before, but I caught myself with a little nudge from a family member. But there's going to be hiccups, but I won't make the mistake again. Service is a lot of work. I get an attitude sometimes. I'm a hellhound. I'm not submissive. I'm submissive to my sir. And I'm having to get used to that. But it's a lot of work, y'all. Know what you're signing up for. Write your contract out. Put it on. Put it on paper.
And know what service looks like. You know, a lot of times you won't know what it looks like for that particular person until you actually do it. And I highly, you know what? I'll say this. If you're not owned and you are contemplating being of service to someone, or just go out and see if you can service a house for a weekend, or see if you can service a house for but you know, like at an event or something. That way you'll have a good idea of what service looks like for another person, and you'll also understand what service looks like in a dynamic, you can get a feel for it and see if this is something that you want to do. A lot of times, especially when it goes to having events and stuff like that, the same way you can volunteer to be of service for an event, you can volunteer to be of service to a house, because it's two different things. Or you can be a volunteer your service to a D type. Let them know, is there anything around your house that you need done? If domestic service is one of your services that you provide, hell, go and do that. If cooking is something that you enjoy doing, volunteer to cook for, be of service to a D type and cook for them. That way you'll be helping out. I would suggest to do it to a D type that already has a submissive, so that you can help that submissive help service that D type. And then you can get an insight from the submissive of how that looks every day, even though you're coming in and helping them. I don't know any S type that would not want a helping buddy, a help buddy, break up the monotony in that household or something. Any other suggestions for those who are? How many of you all here don't have a D type or don't have an S type that you're serving? Okay, everybody. All right. Any questions?
I had a question and now I forgot it.
You forgot your question? You forgot. Oh boy, Noble.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, service to me is like after Boogie has been training me, I just learned about that like that what you call it, the pre-anticipation of doing something. So when we're like going around in Manhattan, I should immediately, when we meet, take off his bags and carry his bags. Now that's something that I'm aware of, and that's going to happen every single time. And same thing with anything that we do. Like I'm taking the processes to learn. Also, still reading the book, the Leather Boys book, and it's just amazing. I cannot describe how much I love serving. I cannot describe. It makes me so freaking happy.
So someone like you, we would say that you have a service heart. And those people that have a service heart, they are like the unicorns in the community. You're highly valuable. You're highly praised. People that have service hearts, you can recognize them off the rip.
I go into work every day happy. I'm so ready for another day of work. And it changes people's looks about you. When I came in, everyone was like, because I work with I'm a janitor / maintenance, but most of the people are like ex-alcohol, ex-crack addicts and stuff like that. They're not used to that type of that care, like someone saying good morning.
Yes.
So I like spreading out my good vibes to everyone. And it makes just everything feel more positive. And I don't know what else more I can explain, but
it comes from here. There's a difference between something coming genuinely from your heart as a service heart than somebody's doing the service because they're expecting something else in return.
No, that's
like, I don't want you to do service for me and then you expect them for, if I clean up the living room, then I get then I get flogged. I don't need that kind of service.
No,
I need the service that you're going to do it, whether you get flogged or not. You're going to do it because that's just who you are. And you can see, as a D type, you can see and feel that energy, because it's an energy that protrudes out of you when you have a service heart. you're willing to do, I wouldn't say you're going to do anything, but you're doing it because you're doing it out of love, the love for just helping, the love for just wanting to do. Yeah. And it looks different. It looks different.
I appreciate that. That was my question.
You're welcome. Boy Noble.
Yes, I have a question. Being that the leather community is inclusive and diverse, um, as a D type and as a D type that's growing and learning, that's new at this, have you ever had experiences dealing with an S type who may be deaf or hard of hearing or have some form of disability physically or um, developmentally? Because everyone has the right to be a part. So have you had any of those experiences and having to navigate?
I'm glad that you asked me that. Thank you for that question, Boy Noble. My first slave was deaf.
Oh.
Yes, my first slave was deaf. And he went from hard of hearing to becoming deaf. While in dynamic with me, he started going to Gallaudet school.
Okay.
One of the people, the community when Cole was servicing me, he started off as Cole, and then he ended up getting collared by me, and I named him the car. But Slave Cole was so attentive. Other people in the community used to be like, "Oh my God, I want me a slave like that. He's so attentive. He's always watching your mouth. He's always watching your lips." And we would go to the club, and he would be right next to me. And people thought that it was like part of the service, and it was. But because Cole could read lips a little bit, and the bars are dark, he had to stay close to me so he can see what I'm saying. If I was talking to somebody else, or I said I wanted a drink, or I'm thirsty, he would be watching my lips. So a lot of times people who did not know protocol would come up to him because he was cute, and they would want to talk to him and shit like that. And Cole would be like, not looking at them. They would tap him on the shoulder. And because he was so focused on what I was doing, he looked like the perfect fucking submissive, the perfect slave. But part of his perfectness was him being attentive because he was deaf. I've had I would say that even though Pup Twilight was he was in the service, he a little bit spicy, he a little Nero spicy a little bit. So there were certain things like I find that more and more, and Boogie and I had this conversation before. I find that more and more Nero spicy people are coming into the community. And the reason why I feel, it's just a personal feeling, that they're drawn into the community is because they want to fit in. And it's hard to fit in a society when nobody's following rules. A Nero spicy person can fit in when they know what I can do and what I fucking can't do. When there are rules, the Nero spicy people are fitting in because they are following the rules. I don't think that somebody's gonna think that I'm crazy or I'm awkward or I'm different because I'm doing what the rules say to do. I'm following the rules. And when there are rules and the rules are being guarded, then they feel safe. It's the people who want to do the fuck shit that don't feel safe because they're rules. They don't want to follow the rules. When it comes to, have I had anybody blind yet? I haven't. Whenever somebody's in my house, and someone else is attached to them, they're still part of the house. So boy Twilight had a pup who was what do you call it? He said he has Asperger's. And it was the fact that there were certain things that David Sugar that we couldn't. There was a lot of times he would ask questions, and some other people would be like, "Oh Lord, we got to go through this again," but I would have to take the time to talk to him because he needed that extra in order for him to process it, whatever was said in his mind. You had to repeat it over and over. And anybody that knows me know that I'm a person that I don't like to repeat myself. But when you have somebody that says, "Hey, I have Asperger's and I'm part of your house," you have to accommodate those special needs. And I call them special needs because everybody has needs. Their needs are special because it's going to be detailed to that person. Those needs that they require are going to be special because I'm altering it so that they become successful. So to answer your question, yes, I have, but I can honestly say that. Oh, and then I found out that I was dealing with a pup that was schizophrenic and bipolar, but that's a whole nother thing. But what happens is, as a D type, it makes you stronger if you're willing to deal with it. It makes you a better person, because then you become more equipped to deal with an array of people rather than isolating yourself to just a certain type and a certain, like, I only want boys and I only want, gay boys. Or I can honestly say that my household has a little bit of everything, and everybody, and that's not thing, but I have a little bit of, this household has a little bit of everybody. I'm proud to say that my household has the whole LGBTQIA up in it. And so with saying that, I deal with the complexities that come along with it, because everyone is complex, very complex. I have a transgender woman in my house, and hell, she's always educating me. I have a non-binary BOI in my house, and he's always educating, or they are always educating me. Having a deaf person in my house allowed me to expand my communication with talking to people in sign language. So each person that comes inside your house or want to be directed by you will end up teaching you and taking you to another level. And it humbles you as a human being. It does.
I was gonna say, it sounds like the D type, don't get so complacent that you can no longer be trained. It sounds like the D type is always in training mode as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the S type that's in training, but the D type is in training as well.
Yep.
And what I'm also hearing is that at D types, we have to treat people as individuals and provide them the grace, and the space to just be and to grow and to learn based on what those needs are. And to realize that if you don't have the capacity, no matter how glorious it looks, then you're better off leaving that person alone, because you'll do
Yep.
more harm than good.
And I would like to add to that before we go, like, training doesn't necessarily consist of, like we said, I'm being trained how to do things that I wasn't expecting to do, like learning how to do sign language. because I needed to communicate with my slave. But training doesn't necessarily mean always teaching someone how to do something. The training can also be just providing a space. And when I say that, I had to train my boy to understand that the safe space that I provide is a coveting for him to be generally who he is. I'll give you an example. I had a boy who he grew up in a rough neighborhood. He grew up having to be a thug. However, when he came over to my house and the doors closed, when he was in service in heels and a skirt and all the things he wished he could have done walking the streets in New York that he didn't have the nerve to do. He now knows that when he comes here to serve, he has that space to do that. And the training in that is training him to be his authentic self in baby steps. And so as a D type, I provide a space for him to authentically be him and train him to be who he needs to be. So a lot of times we have to keep in mind training goes both ways and it looks different for everybody. And it can even turn around and be in reverse. So I hope that helps you all, help everyone that has questions about and that we're questioning being trained or even training someone else or stepping into that realm of training, especially in BDSM. Any other questions before we leave tonight? You're welcome, Jesse. You're so welcome. Any other questions? Any other statements? Any other concerns? All right.
Service is a lot of work. Service is a lot of work.
Service is a lot of work. But it's worth it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. And the reason why I say it's worth it, I speak from my end. If even though I'm the dom, I'm doing service to my submissives by teaching them, especially when they come to me and they have a list. I feel worthy because I'm checking those things off. After I finish, Dejan wanted to learn how to do Florentine. And when he finally got the sequence of how the Florentine goes, I think I was more happy than he was. I was sitting there like cheering because he finally got it. And I realized that the training works. Having you all build up your endurance to do things and watch you do it and get to a point where I can sit back and see you doing fire play when I've taught you how to do fire play. Those are the things that's very, very, very important. And it allows the trainer to be validated. Nothing validates me more than training somebody to do something and they become excellent at it. Excellent, outstanding at it. That is the best reward ever. And that's what validates training and seeing that it works. It lets me know that I have good communication. There's good connection with the person. I've had intimacy with the person because training you becomes intimate. So all of those things that we need as humans, intimacy and talking and unity, all of those things come into compass when doing this. So I hope that you all value training just a little bit more after this conversation. And I want to thank you all for coming in. Before we go, we have any comments, concerns, statements?
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. So as we go, I always say, please, please, please stay kinky. Do all the freaky things that you want to do. Stay kinky. Please be sweet. Have some dirty sheets at the end of the week. Right.
Indeed.
If you're doing the kinky stuff and you're doing it right, you're gonna have some dirty sheets. So get them dirty sheets in order. All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good night, and thank you for joining me on PillowTALK. We always have something going on Tuesdays. We have Uncovered Conversations. On Wednesdays, I do a PillowTALK on the first of the month. We have the boys are doing Boy Talk next, and then we have Knights of the Vanguard coming out, and then after that we do Slave Talk. And Mama Celestia does her book reading
on Friday.
On Friday, and
Meerkat Mondays.
What do we do?
Meerkat Mondays.
Oh, Meerkat Mondays. I come in and just give y'all a little brief synopsis of what I have on.
Yeah.
What's going on underneath this
quick.
Meerkat.
We also have daytime conversations on
Mistress
Thursdays.
D, may I add you as a friend on Facebook?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
I heard another question. Somebody said something.
Oh no, I was just saying, sir, that we have daytime dynamics on Thursday morning.
Daytime dynamics on Thursdays.
Yes, we are expanding every day of the week with the village.
We are the village is definitely giving something educational. If you haven't been educated, you haven't been empowered to explore kink and fetish and everything that circles around it, please stay in our little circle where we have a lot of education and empowerment going on. Yes.
We have coming soon the Littles Roundtable, which is also coming soon within the village. So all points of aspects from all sides of this world we live in.
Okay, for the crib coming out, the whole y'all pulling out the whole crib for everybody jumping out of the crib.
The whole sandbox. The whole sandbox.
The whole sandbox. Okay. The round table. Yeah. I don't even want to know what that table would look like because I think it got glitter on it. So I'm just gonna
please put it away. Please put it away.
Stuffy's everywhere. Stuffy's everywhere.
I don't even want to know what that table looked like. All I see is cookies and glitter and stuffies.
Mistress, I can't find you on Facebook.
Okay. I just inboxed. I just sent you a private message to tell you what my name was on Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All righty then.
Are you Master's friend on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He tags me all the time. Look on his page. You can.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Master.
All right then. You're welcome. Y'all have a good night. I love you. Peace, hair grease, and dirty sheets. All right.